Good evening, dear friend. Welcome to this, our Sunday evening version of this thing of ours, the beautiful June 9th. Gorgeous, gorgeous day in New York City today, 75 degrees as we speak. Sunny, beautiful, unbelievable. Absolutely gorgeous. The city is alive with the sound of music. There's only 149 days, my friends, until the election. 149 days until the re-election of Donald John Trump. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, and I can't wait. But believe me, as we speak, dear friends, do not think that the evil shadow government ghouls, the overlords, are going out of their way to find ways to change this. And I want you to listen to me. I want you to buckle up, buckle down, settle down, and listen up. There are going to be people who are going to be coming after you left and right. Turn off all cable news. Unless you can do like I do and merely sample a few tidbits here and there to get an idea for the feel. But if you listen to them, if you spend any amount of time wasting your precious time listening for a second to everything and anything, and every now and then there might be something on Fox News, but remember, it's only the obvious. Fox News is the obvious. Maria Bartiromo, so very good, obvious. Larry Kudlow, obvious. Sean Hannity, obvious. It's like no blank to wax scatological. It's obvious, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. I don't care about the obvious. A lot going on tonight. Big deals going on involving what's happening with the hostage rescue. And I believe it was CNN or whatever called it hostage release. Oh, my God. Then this one hostage was purportedly being kept at the home of an Al Jazeera either correspondent or... I know you don't want to hear that one now because America, frankly... Let me just say this, and I say this with all due respect. Nobody cares about Israel. Nobody. America, but listen, I know you do, and I know we talk about Brianna Joy Gray, but nobody cares about that. That's inside baseball. That is not going to be a voting. It's going to be a part, but that's not going to be what matters. UFOs aren't going to matter. Artificial intelligence, the stuff that I think is important. Geoengineering is not going to be nothing. There is a momentum that is happening right now. There is this wonderful, incredible, there is this momentum. This is the 100th monkey phenomenon. This is a choreographed move, a murmuration. It is, you can feel it. You have to be able, aside from, listen to what I'm saying, aside from the polls and the like, you've got to feel it. You got to pay attention. I talk to friends of mine, they say, don't you understand that, guys? I said, Americans don't care about God. They don't, it's not, I shouldn't say that. I care about it. You may care about it. But this is not something, because Americans, when it comes to, foreign relations, nobody cares about this. International relations, IR, that's Amy Goodman. That's Max Blumenthal. That's that. Europeans care about it because they think differently than we do. You have to understand the way Americans think. You have to understand what Americans think. If you open up an Italian restaurant in this country, you cannot do authentic Italian. Nobody would recognize it. They don't want that. They want Olive Garden and bread and big, and that's not though. No. Real, honest to God, legitimate Italian pizza, nobody would want it. Cutting it with a fork and knife. No. If you want to get in this game, listen to me. If you want to, you got to ask yourself, what is my role here? Do I want to change the momentum of things? Do I want people to think differently? Or do I want to comment and show? Right now, I love being two things. Number one, legal and media analyst. I decode it. I tell you, this is what's happening. This is what will happen. Not what should happen, not what's important, not what's critical. This is what is happening. This is what will happen. I'm not. Now, there's some things I'd like to, and I've tried. There are some issues that I think are of utmost importance. I've told you, number one is AGI and artificial intelligence. It just doesn't work. But that's okay. Same thing if I were to go to friends of mine and I'm saying, do you understand what's going on with Gaza and the fact that Bibi Netanyahu and Benny Gantz, they have no clue. None. And grasp that. During Iraq, during Afghanistan, nobody cared about that. So rule number one, make sure you read the right stuff, pay attention to watch me, listen to me. I'll never lead you down the path. But don't argue with me. Don't fight me on this. Don't say like, you don't understand. I say, no, I'm telling you, this isn't important. You don't understand. That's not what happened. No. Don't argue. No. Whether you and I, it doesn't matter what we think. I'm telling you, this is the way America thinks. This is the way voters think. This is what bothers them. This is what they think is important, not what you and I understand. Remember that. Understand human behavior. Don't argue with people. I get into these arguments with people. Don't you understand? That's not what she said. Say, that's not the perception. It's wrong. That's not what she said. It doesn't matter what she said. It's the perception. It's the way things are. It's the way things are. As a great friend of mine used to say, sometimes it bees like that. And that's it. Sometimes it bees like that. Now, I want to show you a few things for you about what is happening regarding our president, who is about to be. This is in Newport. Anyway, so this is California. Look at that. Isn't that something? Now, what do I always do? How do you watch this? Next time you watch this, remember what I'm saying. Look for diversity of crowds. The group wasn't itself necessarily that diverse. This was Newport something or the Newport City, Newport Beach. Right. This is California. California. They did it. Gavin Newsom screwed. Everybody's leaving California with a $20 minimum wage. He's killing California. And the people that we know live in California say, you schmuck, don't you know what's happening? Well, it's okay here. It's not going to be okay. California tumbles into the sea. My old school, baby. That'll be the day I go back to Annandale. Anyway, this is incredible. This is California. This is California. Oh, my God. Try that a couple of years ago. When it was cool not to like Trump. But now after 4 years of the worst, most rancid, infected, putrescent, this vile, bilious, purulent. Yeah, that's where we are now. Look at this. Look at these boats. Look out the sky. Look at those clouds. What is that white? What is that low-hanging? What is that? I think you know what that is, right? Wearing a blue suit with a red tie. It's incredible. Look at this. Look at this. Is that something or what? There's our friend Sparky says Newsom and Kushner in 24. You are wacky, my friend. How about some more?
This is the first time I've said this, and for those hotel.
Stop for a second. This was brilliant. Trump goes into Vegas, and it was so hot. I think they waived the rule we can bring in umbrellas, and they try to have water. And I mean, they were packed in Vegas, packed. So what's the issue that he deals with? Tips. Vegas, Las Vegas in particular, the whole notion of he's going after them. He said, what can I do for you to show you something that you will agree with? Just like Biden tried to pander to student loan debt by saying, hey, it's canceled. Listen to this genius.
So this is the first time I've said this, and for those hotel workers and people that get tips, you're going to be very happy. Because when I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips, people making tips.
Brilliant.
We're not going to do it, and we're going to do that right away, first thing in office, because it's been a point of contention for years and years and years.
Yes.
And you do a great job of service. You take care of people. And I think it's going to be something that really is deserved. More importantly, popular or unpopular. I do some unpopular things too if it's right for the country. I do what's right. But so those people that have jobs in restaurants, whatever the job may be, a tipping job, we're not going after for taxes anymore. This will be ended.
Do you know what that is? You know what Democrats are going to go crazy. They're going to go nuts. And Washington, by the way, this is Washington. Remember, Washington. It's about the deep state, the shadow government, this thing called Washington government. They hate this. They want revenue. Now, of course, now they'll try to excuse him right off the books. Student, that was a different story. But this is the genius of this man. Now, let me see. I threw up so much great stuff for you today. Want to see some more? This is Trump on Long Island. Biden stuff. Look at this. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? You like this, don't you? I know you do. I like this. How about some more? Long Island. Can you feel it? Can you feel what's happening? It's beautiful. Glorious. Take your time out of the day, dude. Take your time. Look at this. They love it. Try taking a poll on it. The American flag. You never see an American flag during anything that Biden's doing. You notice that? Never see an American flag. Never. You can always tell when you're in a Trump neighborhood, Trump part of town. Take it all in. These people have something better to do today. These people don't know each other. This is called this is a human murmuration. This is a crowd, hoarding, school, horde, asking. Celebrating commonality.
What's your favorite song?
What's your favorite song? My friends, doesn't it? Are you feeling good about this? Are you feeling good about this? Can you believe it? I'm. And meanwhile, Biden doesn't know. Biden is just it's free fall. It's pathetic. It is beyond pathetic. My dear friends, let me take a brief interruption right now to talk to a great man, I don't know where old Mike's been, but he's been there with us from day one. And Mike Lindell will always be with us. And we love him to death. And he has the best products available. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. It's time yet again, my friends, to hail and salute our great friends at MyPillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you'll get a free gift. No purchase necessary. And yes, I know a free gift. It's a tautology, so sue me. But first, listen carefully. Check out their $25 extravaganzas. Premium My Pillows, Queen and King, My Pillow 2.0. MyPillow bed sheets, the lowest price ever. Sandals, slides, slippers, 6-piece towel sets, 4-pack dish towel sets. Simply and absolutely unbelievable. So go to mypillow.com/Lionel, mypillow.com, promo code Lionel, or call 800-645-4965. And watch how fast Mike Lindell answers the phone. MyPillow.com. Simply and absolutely the best. What if you find folks just brought up Russian nuclear sub in Cuba? Nobody cares about that. Americans don't care about that. Yeah. Nah. That's the problem with us. We are looking, my friends, at what is happening. And we need, I'm telling you, if ever we needed somebody right now to pick up the phone with Biden, with Putin, Biden kind of something, President Trump, and to sit down and say, listen, we've got to work this out. Vlad, sit down. I'm back. This ends right now. I don't know what he's going to do. I know he's not going to do it. It's for Trump and Israel he has never wavered from that. So don't expect anything drastic. Put it this way, whatever he does, it will be his own position, and not necessarily that of Biden, who is a sock puppet. Somebody's hand is up his back, making him do whatever he wants to do. But right now, remember when we say this, the average American, the average voter is 55 years old, no college education, and votes on a variety of issues. But what we're seeing right now is, and don't question this. Don't get mad at this. Don't say, well, no, it should be different. I know it, but it's not different. It's the way it is. Sometimes it bees like that. You want to hear more of Trump in Vegas?
Metropolitan Police Department.
Oh, I love this. There's one thing I can absolutely tell you, like you cannot believe. And before let me do this right now. Our kind friends, Johnny Maz says Germany, France, UK, and Austria voted for conservatives in their elections today. And one shocking is their hope for us. Yes, Belgium too. The lovely Kent Lomason says, so beautiful. Thanks, Lionel. Yes, indeed it is. You know what, Kent? And thank you, Johnny. It's not just here. It's the wave. People are tired of this. It just doesn't it's like, go home. Go home. We've had it. And I cannot tell you, something happened recently with this. I've never had any problem at all, believe me, with anybody celebrating anything. In New York, we have Israeli Day, Dominican Day, Puerto Rican Day, Columbus Day, St. Patrick's Day. We have every kind of day you can imagine. And we even have Gay Pride Day. That used to be huge. Unbelievably huge. It was incredible. Now it's kind of like, it's okay. I mean, it's there. Halloween used to be even better too. Halloween in New York in the Village was just another story. Okay, so before Biden, before this reign of terror, people would say, oh, gay pride, okay. Now it's enough. From Target and drag shows, and it's all kind of like in one big lump. Enough. We're done with this. But let me tell you what the president's doing. He loves cops. If there's one thing that I have learned, and I will go to my fumes, not my grave, my fumes, my whatever it is, I will go and I will tell you this is true. The number one issue for any civilization is law and order. Not draconian, fascistic, Bull Connor. No. We're not talking that. What is critical beyond anything is the ability for people to walk around and to be free. Bradley Opland says, hang on, Brad says, it's not changing in Obama land. It's not changing in Obama land. Got any ideas? I don't know what that is. You mean in Chicago or Hawaii? I don't know what that is. That may be the stronghold. If that's what you mean, I don't know what you mean. Thank you, Brad. I don't know what you mean. Law and order, number one. Number one. Number one. Everything else is like, okay, if people can't just feel that sense of, I don't know. And as I said, the president has always been 100% in favor of the police and the cops. And listen to this, this impassioned piece from, I believe, the head of either the Nevada or I guess the PBA benevolence. Anyway, let this gentleman speak.
My name is Steve Grammis. I'm a police officer here with Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. And I am the president of the Las Vegas Police Protective Association that represents approximately 4,000 of your commissioned police officers. I was asked to come here to speak about why police officers support Donald J. Trump for president. I'm reminded of 1 October. I was working that day as your president for our officers. It was one of the darkest days that we ever had in this state and even in our country. And within days, President Trump, with his busy schedule, came to our headquarters, came to our city, came to our state to make sure your citizens, our victims, and our officers were doing okay. I'm also reminded of March of this year. Police Officer Diller in New York was killed in the line of duty. President Trump was in New York. Joe Biden was in New York. But only one went to see the family and pay their respects. Joe Biden went to a fundraiser to watch Lizzo dance, while President Trump went to the family's house and consoled them like a real leader does.
Yep.
And I know the Biden campaign likes to talk numbers, so let's talk some numbers. Between 21 and 23, 818 police officers in this country were killed in the line of duty under his watch. That's unacceptable. In 23, 330 police officers were assaulted in the line of duty. You don't hear anything from that campaign. You don't hear them talking about this
Nope.
needs to stop. Let's talk about some more numbers. Let's talk about drugs. Let's talk about things affecting your fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters. Fentanyl is coming across the border at record numbers.
Yep.
Record numbers.
From where?
In April.
From where?
1,300 pounds of fentanyl came across the border and was seized. 8,500 pounds of methamphetamine came across this country. With regards to fentanyl, that's 113,000 lethal doses that are killing our kids, that are killing our families, and it needs to stop. And President Trump's going to stop it.
Isn't that great? There's more.
We in law enforcement can't take another 4 years under Joe Biden. We need the support of our national government, our state government. Thank goodness our governor is our former sheriff, Joe Lombardo, in this state.
Good name, Joe Lombardo.
And the last thing I have for you all in the Trump campaign, they don't know this, but right here I hold the official endorsement from the 4,000 commissioned officers of the LVPPA showing our 100% support to the Donald Trump presidency campaign. Thank you all. Please be safe. Trump 2024.
Now, can you imagine, seriously, what is the Biden do? What'd you fall out of a coconut tree? What? Just what? What is it? Sparky says, forgot to mention the video of the Ivory Coast dance reminded me of their education system. Evolved over hundreds of years in rural areas. It's impressive and lasts until students are in their 20s. Only you, Sparko, only you would give us a dissertation and a piece on the Ivory Coast educational system. You see, that's what we've come to know and love. That's it. He also says, by the way, one of my brothers was friends with the Ivory Coast government officials many years ago, so I'd read up on it. In the cities, the education is French style. See? And the Zauli dance, that's me, my friend. Now, let me also tell you something. There are some times when you just have to say to yourself, can it get any better? Can it get any better? Now, remember one thing. Nobody, let me try this in English. Nobody on MSDNC is going to watch this police officer from, Las Vegas. No, they're not going to hear that. We're going to hear that. They're not going to hear that. We know this. They're not going to know this. That's okay. This momentum, this is just, Biden has never been able to have a crowd like this in his life. Ever. Never. Even when he was mildly incapacitated versus completely incapacitated, never. He would have maybe kind of like the parking lot of a Home Depot somewhere. That was it. Trump would be days and days, people waiting in line. You can't miss this. Maria Bartiromo has a very interesting, a very sincere passion, only heard, by the way, by Fox News people. But she was talking with Governor Abbott about this fraudulent move on the administration's part. And of course, Joe Biden couldn't explain what it was about. But listen to this.
Update, have you seen any change at the border since Joe Biden came out with an executive order?
None whatsoever. Listen, people need to understand that what Biden has done, he's not doing anything to actually secure the border. In fact, it's the opposite, because he's actually authorizing more people to cross the border illegally. And think about this.
Now that to me, yeah, you might say to yourself, now hang on a minute. Now, how is that? How is that going to help anything? If what kind of an say more people? Mm-hmm. See, but that's typical Biden. They call it one thing. And by the way, to be fair, that's the same thing for government. No Child Left Behind, Clean Air Act, National Defense Authorization Act. They sound good.
You get to that 2,500 number of people crossing the border a day that he says he will allow, but only then stop the asylum process. When he stops the asylum process, there's nothing that Biden is doing that actually is preventing anybody else from crossing the border. There's no type of enforcement mechanism in place. And so as long as the Biden administration...
Now, I hope you heard that. He said, now, 2,500 people, and then we're going to... But there's nobody say, okay, you know those clickers like at the door, like the guy at Walmart who stands there, goes, okay, we got 2,500. All right, that's it. They don't do that. They announce they're going to do that, but they don't do anything.
Refuses to provide any type of enforcement, any type of blockage of people crossing illegally. All this new Biden policy is going to do is to actually attract and invite even more people to...
That doesn't make any sense, Greg.
Cross the border illegally. And you've seen on videos ever since the Biden order went into place, there's no slowing down of people crossing the border. In fact, it's just accelerating. And so this is gaslighting our fellow Americans when Biden gets up and says this is going to stop people from coming across the border, when he says it's going to secure the border. In fact, it is making the border illegal crossings worse.
Unbelievable.
It's not gaslighting. Again, that's a term that means where I make you think you're kind of crazy or you lose your mind. What are you talking about? Hey, is it brighter in here? No. Is it colder in here? No. What are you losing your mind? That's kind of the idea where I make you question your own sanity, as it were, as opposed to this. This is the most beautiful thing in the world. This is the most gorgeous thing in the world. Can you feel it? Now, before I forget, there is a man that people dug, this clown called Dr. Phil. I don't know where this jadrul came from. I have no idea. I have absolutely no clue. But he has this idea where he said, now, Mr. President, what you should do is don't you talk about showing any kind of revenge. Shut up. Yes, show revenge. Show unbridled revenge. Show What is he talking about? We want these people. What they've done to us from COVID lockdowns, I mean, to the border, oh, there better be revenge. Our good friend Mower Man USA said, Mr. L, loving the blue polka dot shirt tonight. Last night, retro round spectacles and what looks like a classic rectangular gold Seiko. No, but thank you. So fun being a man in our age bracket, dressing in a way that sadly has been lost. Well done, sir. You know what? Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. You are a good, good man. And I appreciate your kindness and, more importantly, your generosity. By the way, what's the biggest city in the world? Generosity. I hope President Trump immediately, and expeditiously upon his entry, if you will, does everything to unleash a torrent of not revenge, but justice. A torrent of justice. And I hope to God, because last time, that's the thing he didn't do. He was nice to Hillary Clinton. Remember that? He was going to get her. People said, we're counting on you. Well, yeah. No, you said lock her up. Yeah, well, I said lock her up. I didn't, I didn't really. Remember, no. You said lock her up. You said that. Well, yeah, but what do you mean, yeah, but? You can't do this. There are some things you have to do, not because you're mean, but because you have to do a decent job. You have to do your best to let people know that we mean business. It's that simple. Now, there was a wonderful piece. Let me do a little setup on this one. There is a, let me see. There is, here we go. You got to hear this one. There was a story, which was, by the way, Byron Donalds is looking better and better and better and better and better and better and better as a possible. I'm just saying, he's looking better for some as a possible Veep. But Byron Donalds, a Republican from Florida, continued to defend his comments on the marriage rate during the Jim Crow era. During a contentious conversation with MSNBC anchor and fraud and FBI confidential informant and deadbeat and racial arsonist Reverend Al Sharpton. Mr. Donalds appeared on MSNBC's Politics Nation, a show that nobody's watched, on yesterday, after his event in Philadelphia earlier this week, when he discussed how the black marriage rate was actually higher back then than it is now. His comments have come under fire by many on the left, who have interpreted the remark to be somehow about how Jim Crow, how laws benefited black people at the time, despite the fact that they kept them in segregation and prohibited them, of course, from voting. Sharpton offered Donalds another opportunity to respond to the backlash. And this is the way it is. Now, Al Sharpton, enough can be said, is an absolute. If ever there was I mean, he is flim flam shifty Al. He has been from Tawana Brawley, and people always said, how is it that he's protected? We find out he was a rat. He wore a wire against the Genovese family, and you can see it. He was a racial arsonist. Remember Freddie's Market about the interlopers? Oh yeah. Tawana Brawley was the worst moment ever. Unrepentant. He is an absolute sham, a scam. Sam the Sham. But he's, and a joke, but may have some, I don't know if he's paying off somebody. During the Bloomberg administration, it was really interesting. Somebody said, how come when Bloomberg was mayor 3 terms, how come we never heard from Al? How much to shut you up, Al? Go away. Okay. One of the worst moments ever was when Don Imus, remember the nappy-headed hoe thing, when he had to show up and beg for forgiveness before Al Sharpton. I could not believe this. Even Simonis, make no mistake. Thank you for this. We, the people, are soft, as they do not have the courage nor the heart to act and do the necessary in accordance to the Constitution in this tyranny, which is why the deep state are confident in getting away with their actions, period. I could not say that enough. Thank you for your comments. Even Simonis, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you. I hope that this time we are stronger. We are more angry. I hope we are more focused. I hope we have more of tenacity, a real sense of what needs to be done. I hope more than ever we understand this. I think it's true. I think, my good friend, it is true. So let us, if we could, listen to the words of this Al Sharpton, who, by the way, speaks in a style very, very labored. He's a smart guy. Believe me when I tell you this. I have had interactions with him. He is one of the nicest people. When you meet him, when he's before we go, true story. I was on the Geraldo Rivera show years ago. And I was on, it was a show. I don't know what the hell it was. Listen to this lineup or on the stage. I was, of course, there. Curtis Sliwa, Cindy Adams, Mercury Morris, a woman named Nefertiti or something. She had like an Egyptian, I don't know what the hell. I have no idea what the show was about. But it was the CBS studios on 57th Street. There I was. So I kind of told Geraldo when he was far more popular, I said, because all these people, he says, do you have anything to say? I said, I'll give you a signal when I want to say something. Because I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this. He goes, okay, good. So I'm looking at the floor director. And he's kind of wrapping it up, 30 seconds and all this. So I kind of gave Geraldo the vote. He goes, yes, Lionel. And it was as though the God of timing spoke to me. I said, and I paraphrase, of course, I said, do you know what would be Al Sharpton's idea of hell? Now, Al Sharpton is on the dais, but he's at the end. And all of a sudden, he leans over because we had never been formally introduced. He looks at me like, who the hell is this guy? I said, you know what Al Sharpton's idea of hell would be? He wakes up one morning and there's racial harmony and he's got to want to get a job like everybody else. Yeah. And he gets up and he says, and he starts yelling at me and I'm going, God. And just when they're ready and clear. And when they give the clear, Al Sharpton looked at me. I swear to God, did I go, touche. I'm like, he's a professional. He's kayfabe. He's a heel. He knows exactly. But he's a con. I mean, he is absolutely a con. So here he is with the Byron Donalds, and I want you to listen to this and watch the cool, if you will. He doesn't ever lose his composure, and it's so wonderful. Watch Byron Donalds, and also remember a great trick. Whenever you're on and somebody is debating you, no matter what they say, you always say, I didn't say that, or that's not true, or that's not what that's not what happened. Always, whatever it is, that's not true. That's not what happened. I didn't say that. It throws him off completely. Okay, dig this.
Recent comments by Florida Congressman Byron Donalds that certainly seems like a positive spin on the Jim Crow era. Donald says critics are missing the context of what he said, so we invited him to Politics Nation to make his case. Congressman, welcome to the show. You just heard what Congressman Vesey had to say about your comments. You've also been criticized by House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and the head of the DNC, Jamie Harrison, both of them black. One of them black from Brooklyn, like you were born in Brooklyn, I was born in Brooklyn. What's your response?
My response is that it's very interesting how people can just lie and mischaracterize what I said. The video's on my social media. Go to @Byron Donalds. You can listen to it in full. I never said or insinuated anything about Jim Crow being better. Just was talking about the marriage rates of black families in America during that time period.
Yes.
It's an empirical fact.
You mentioned
Black
Jim
families
Crow.
had a
Wait
higher
a
marriage rate
minute.
during that
I've
time.
watched your video. You mentioned Jim Crow 4 times. One time you referred to families. All families did less. They had higher divorce rates in the 60s and 70s as the nation opened up. This wasn't because of.
As the nation opened up. Okay, I know where he's getting. I know what he's saying. He said maybe during the period of time when America became more liberalized, maybe there was a concomitant increase in divorce across the board, Mr. Donald.
Jim Crow kept blacks. Blacks couldn't vote. Those families couldn't go downtown.
Good.
I mean, to in any way infer that the families, black families, were better than Jim Crow. I mean, I've said things that I've later said I shouldn't have said it that way.
I've never
Can't
said
you
that.
own that even sanitizing Jim Crow, even if that wasn't your intention, was to say, that's my intention, I'm sorry for using those words?
Well, first of all, I never sanitized Jim Crow. I was just talking about the era in which black marriage rates were higher than they were during the Great Society and every other point in American history.
Why did you say
that's
Jim
the
Crow?
period of time, Reverend.
The period of
Are we not gonna
time
be able
was
to
the
go to the
50s. If
period
you
of
wanted to
time?
say the 50s,
That's when it happened.
you said Jim
But
Crow.
that's when it happened.
Jim
Because that was
Crow.
the era in which marriage rates were high.
You see, Al's got a kind of a point where he says, so I don't care if what you're saying is true. The fact that you said Jim Crow, because that's all I know. You see, I'm Flim Flam Shady Al Sharpton. I don't know context, depth, facts, reality. I know subject headings. I know clickbait phrases. I know traps. That's all I know. That's all I know. Oh, no. This is terrific. And Donald is terrific because he says, I am not going to budge. I'm not going to budge in the least. Whoop, not that one. Don't like that one. Like this one. I'm not going to budge.
Jim
Look, you had
Crow
Joe Biden
was
a couple
a
of years
law-
ago talking about Jim Crow 2.0,
Congressman.
talking about Georgia's law, and he lied. He lied then. So are we not allowed to talk about that era, or only are we allowed to talk about it when we
Yes,
do want to
and if we're
recall
gonna
all the
talk
history of
about
Jim
the
Crow
era-
and all the tragedies that occurred during Jim
If
Crow?
we're going
we got
to
to choose which
talk
one we're going to
about
do.
the era, Congressman, and you name a race-based law, then you cannot take race out of the fact Jim Crow was a law against black people. You weren't just talking about the era of Dwight Eisenhower.
Al is holding fast. Al says, look, I don't know exactly what you said, and I kind of lied. I really didn't listen to you because my producer gave it to me, and I'm reading the prompter, and I don't have time for this. All I'm saying is you said Jim Crow. That's it. Jim Crow. That's it. And I'm going to ask you right now to back down or to retract. That's all I've got. I'm not going to talk to merits. I'm just going to mention Jim Crow because I'm Al Sharpton, and this is a show that nobody's watching until now. And that's the only reason you're on, is because maybe somebody will watch this piece of tripe.
And Harry Truman, you named Jim Crow. There's only one way you could deal with Jim Crow.
Al, please move on.
And that's by race. I mean, look, look, you and I had mutual friends. People say you're a straight shooter. We may disagree on politics. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. But look, you were born in Brooklyn. You went down into the South, went to Florida State. You have an interracial marriage. You're the congressman of.
What does it have to do with it? Why did it mention interracial? What did that have to do? I mean, it's fine, but what Al, please.
A district that's not a black district. I mean, how can you even live with yourself acting like Jim Crow was a good era or a better era for black?
What did that? Let me go back a little bit. Where is the connection? Like, you're in an era, you're in Florida, interracial marriage. I mean, how can you say, wait a minute? Say, Al, you're divorced, you never paid your rent for whatever. Remember all those stories about Al and all the lawsuits? Want to bring up that, Al? Not only that, being an FBI rat.
You name Jim Crow. There's only one way you could deal with Jim Crow, and that's by race. I mean, look, you and I had mutual friends. People say you're a straight shooter. We may disagree on politics. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt.
I love it.
But look, you were born in Brooklyn. You went down into the South, went to Florida State. You have an interracial marriage. You're the congressman of a district that's not a black district. I mean, how can you even live with yourself acting like Jim Crow was a good era or a better era for blacks? What happened to you?
Okay, that's real cute. That's real cute. I did not say
cute.
that. And I'm not going to sit here and have to insinuate that against me. Because right now you're lying about what I said. I did say Jim Crow. I did reference it 3 times. That's not to say that it was better. I never said that. Those words never came out of my mouth. When are you going to get that through your skull and everybody else's skull? I never said that. And the difference between me and a lot of other Republicans, I'm not going to sit here.
You said it was better for us.
I'm not going to let you lie
under Jim Crow to bring families together. Did you say that?
Hakeem Jeffries was lying. The Biden campaign was lying.
All right.
Go look at my words.
Well,
go look at my words.
Right. People can look at your words.
Did I say Jim Crow was better? No, I did not.
You said
I did not say Jim Crow was better. I never said it was good. I did not have nostalgia. I never said any of those things. I was talking about black families and black family marriage rates during that time.
Okay.
And the.
All right. Then what did Jim Crow do to contribute to black families?
You're a jadrul.
Hello.
I'm not talking. Oh my gosh!
You said under Jim Crow, black families. So explain to me what Jim Crow did to help black families.
The marriage rates during the Jim Crow era were higher for black families up until the point of the Great Society. I did not say that. I said they were, and this is the problem. Because you're trying to say that I said because of Jim Crow marriages were at a higher rate. I did not say that. I said during. I said during.
But why
I guess
did
we
he
can't refer to
use
time periods
Jim Crow was a race law. Well, first of all, under Great Society did programs like manpower training, model cities, train young people. HEW didn't do anything about families. It's health, education, welfare. So, I mean, what are you talking about? They were not the antithesis to marriage.
Antithesis.
I mean, Congressman. All right, let's go to...
Unbelievable. Oh, my God. Well, you know, Al, during World War II, burglary rates were lower. Oh, so you're saying things were better during Hitler? No. No. This is all, by the way, Byron, you helped Al. You helped him, Al. You helped him. Oh, my God. Don't you love that? Maybe because I'm just more used to Al Sharpton. What a hack. And somebody said, Al, this was terrific. Al, this was great. Great numbers, Al. Sparky says, black owned. By the way, you notice how he always separates words. Very good. Throws off the algorithm reader. Black owned birth rate was lower than white unwed birth rate in those days. Black unwed birth rate was lower than white. The increase had to do with the Great Society than desegregation. Well, it could very well be. You know what's interesting about that as well is that we always have a difficult time trying to explain why things are better. Correlation versus cause. I will never forget one time reading years ago a statistic that said something to the effect of, and please don't quote me on it, but it was something like in one particular group, women who smoked had lower ovarian cancer than others or something. It was like happenstance, and it might have been for other reasons. But people said, the cause is. No, we don't know about the cause. Stand by 1 second, because speaking of catastrophe and Al Sharpton, one day, you know it's true, one day something is going to happen desperately. something is going to happen regarding the big three: food, water, and energy. The water part I've been talking about till I'm blue in the face. Energy, what are you going to do with that? Hope to God you've got generators. But food, there's something you can do to be ready. Go to preparewithlionel.com. It's no longer a question of if something catastrophic is coming, it's when. And while you still have some control, what are you going to do about it now to prepare? Well, your first step is going to my website, preparewithlionel.com. And for a limited time, take $200 off a 3-month emergency food supply. My Patriot Supply is equipped to help you and your family to prepare. They've helped over 2 million families already. These 3-month kits with Ready Hour foods provide over 2,000 calories every day with 22 varieties and a 25-year shelf life. Breakfast, lunches, dinners, drinks, snacks, everything. And they're sealed inside 6 rugged waterproof buckets, and they're over 120 pounds of food. So take advantage right now and go to preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com. One more time, preparewithlionel.com. My dear friends, I love the notion of this thing called correlation and cause. Let me explain one time, which is the most important. Years ago, there was a study that said, and I loved it. They talked about this thing called the Mediterranean diet. I'll never forget this. It was the best learning tool ever. And Ansel Keys, who they said was responsible for the K ration, but I don't believe that's true. But Ansel Keys did the study. And Ansel Keys found out that in this one particular area, that when studied, there was a lower incidence of various cardiac related diseases and the like. And that's it. And somehow from that became known as a thing called the Mediterranean diet. And people said olive oil, nuts, a little wine. And they thought about somebody in Italy, maybe in Venice, Venezia, somebody on a gondola, having little amatriciana with some vino and some, I guess. And they came up with this thing called the Mediterranean diet. Ansel Keys says, I never said that. And what's with this Italy? You know where the study was from? Crete. That was the subject. I don't know where they got Mediterranean from. I guess you could. Were they talking about Israel? And that's in Mediterranean? No, okay. But they just and the real reason for it, as he looked at it, was it was 1953, coming after the aftermath of World War II, where there was privation, starvation. People then had to there was no meat, and they had to eat plant-based stuff, and they walked but they came up with this idea that the reason for that was this. So when you say, for example, lower out of wed marriages, what's the reason for this? One more study. I got to tell you this one. And it goes back to the Mediterranean diet. Somebody said that people, listen to this, people who have a glass of wine a day are healthier than other people who don't have just a glass of wine a day. So people said, oh, so maybe wine is good for you. That's what they took this study as. Wine is good for you because people who have one glass of wine a day are healthy, or healthier than, I don't know who the other one is, people who have 10 glasses. I don't know. There also was a time when people believed in resveratrol. Resveratrol is the substance that is in, it's the antioxidant in grape skin that wards off the effects of the sun. And it's in resveratrol. Oprah talked about it. Anyway, so one doctor, one studier said, I think it might be interesting to note, maybe if they limit themselves to one glass of wine a day, maybe that person is a person who tends to be very structured, very disciplined. And also, let's compare this group to people who don't drink anything. Guess what? The people who don't drink anything did even better. So they missed the point of the story. They missed it completely. No, wine didn't make you better. It was the fact that anybody who drank only one glass of wine tended to be abstemious or disciplined in other aspects of their life. And it carried over, had nothing to do with that. So when we say there were lower out-of-wed births during this period, what was that? What was that change? Sparky mentioned perhaps FDR, or maybe more periods of not desegregation, but what if there was also a concomitant study that showed that church participation in the Black church was also higher? What if we found out that alcoholism rate and alcohol abuse rates were lower? What if we found out that there was a lower instance of domestic violence? Now, the lack of domestic violence, I don't know. You tell me. There's 10, 15, 20 different factors. Here one for more people were employed. More people went to school. More families were. Culture. I don't know why things are like this. I don't know why. Marijuana leads to hard drug use. Why? Because people who have died of heroin abuse always started off with marijuana. Can you imagine a heroin addict never having used marijuana? Isn't that weird? Are you a heroin addict? Yes, I am. Have you used pot? No, not me. The other day they were talking about this Gilgo Beach killer. And sure enough, this guy's a serial killer for 31 years at least. And guess what? They found violent pornography on his laptop. What do you think the chances are of a serial killer not having pornography or not having violent pornography? And did the pornography cause it? Or did it accompany it? Sparky says, Al's seemingly unnecessary reference to Byron's interracial marriage is an attempt to keep black women from supporting him and Republicans. Well, that's a very interesting thing you say that. That's a very interesting thing you say. You're right, though. I would tend to believe, and because that was so strange. You said you went to the South, you went to Florida State. What is it? You left Brooklyn, you left your root, you left the hood, and you married an interracial what? I mean, that's... So remember, we don't know. Correlation and cause, I cannot tell you. The Great Society, not the New Deal. LBJ, not FDR. Right. LBJ, correct. I don't know if I misspoke, but LBJ. Something also happened too. There were some different things. I want you to answer the question now. Let's talk about this. If we admit, let's look at some factors here. Of wed births, black versus white. Let's look at this one here. The Brookings Institute did an analysis of out-of-wedlock births in the United States, searching for an explanation. This is fantastic. Okay, total birth rate. Let me see. I'll let you read the data. I don't ever want to read a cursory review. I know sometimes that when people go into it, they have this idea. They go into the study with the idea in mind that there is a lack of familial cohesion in the Black. This is what they will think. And I don't know any reasons. I want to see across the board. Would you show me Black, white, Asian, any other? And would you also show me in the Black community, is it Black? Show me education levels and also Black income levels. For example, is out of wed birth rates in higher paying Black families the same? I want to know more data than you possibly, because we may speak anecdotally about higher rates of Black out of wedlock births for a certain faction within the population. I don't know. There's that damn thing again. I hate that. Let me turn this thing off. So anyway, good luck with that. All I know is simply this. As I said to you before, my dear friends, Trump is winning. And he's going to absolutely, positively crush African-American, Latino, Asian, and gay folks. Believe it or not, Biden is out. He's gone. There is no one there. And America finally realizes it. That's all. America finally realizes it, because I'm going to tell you something. We are not stupid. We are not stupid. All right, dear friends. Thank you so very, very much. Sparko, absolutely thank you. Oh, Fleo, by the way, says that before 1968, Black farms were torn apart with lynching. Black families, rather, were torn apart with lynchings before 1968. And by the way, lynching is interesting. Lynching under the anti-lynching law does not necessarily mean hanging. It means any type of extrajudicial form of treatment regarding a lynch or whatever the eponymous source of that is. But thank you for that perspective. And to even Saint Simonis, thank you as well for your exceeding kindness. Moorman USA, thank you, brother, as well. Bradley Oplin, Kent Lomason, and the lovely and talented Johnny Maz. Incredible. Thank you so much for your kindness and the like. All right, my friends. Oh, also, before we forget, please, this is it. This is Mrs. L's YouTube channel. Your support is so appreciated. Thank you. Her growth, the YouTube channel is growing by leaps and bounds because of the subject matter and her dedication and devotion to this important serious issue of trying to stop child predation, sex trafficking, and the like. All right, my friends, thank you so much. Have a great and a glorious night. Thank you so much for honoring me with your presence. I mean that sincerely. You are very, very kind. Until tomorrow morning, my friends, remember these final words, this valedictory, this sayonara.